She called for help, and she followed the instructions she was given. She stayed in her car, and she waited for officers to arrive. But instead of being protected, she was pulled from her vehicle, roughed up, and placed in handcuffs. Welcome to Black Joy Interrupted Quick News, where we expose the moments when Black lives are disrupted, and we break down the systems behind those interruptions. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our videos where we report on Black news and interruption patterns that others aren't reporting on. This is Betty's interruption. This incident took place in Hempstead, New York, on September 1st, 2024. Betty Cater, an 80-year-old Black woman, was sitting in her car outside of her home after calling 911. A neighbor had warned her that someone might be breaking into her home. She was not a suspect. She was the person who called for help. When the first officers arrived, they acted professionally and instructed her to remain in her car for her safety while they investigated the situation. She followed those instructions. However, when a second group of officers arrived, the situation changed. They ordered her to exit the vehicle. She attempted to explain that the first officers had told her to stay inside of her car, and she even suggested they confirm that with the other officers on the scene. Instead, according to the lawsuit, the officers began cursing at her and threatening her with arrest. When she asked what she would be arrested for, she was told they did not have to explain. The encounter escalated when officers yanked open her car door, grabbed her, and dragged her out by her feet. She was pulled from the vehicle and then thrown down onto the ground. During the takedown, 3 of her teeth were chipped. One officer placed a knee into her back while her arms were forced behind her to be handcuffed. Because she was wearing a dress, she was also exposed in public during the incident. She was later hospitalized for 4 days with injuries to her arms, back, shoulders, and her knees. According to the lawsuit, she didn't assault or threaten any of the officers and didn't commit any crimes. Despite calling for help and following instructions, she was charged with assaulting an officer, resisting arrest, and obstructing governmental operations. The police claimed that she struck an officer, but according to the lawsuit, that allegation is false. Her lawsuit further alleges that the officers created and submitted arrest paperwork containing materially false statements, including the allegation that she struck an officer, and forwarded that documentation to the Nassau County District Attorney's Office in order to initiate a criminal prosecution. Those charges weren't dismissed until August 29th of 2025. But last week, now 81 years old, Betty Cater filed a lawsuit against Nassau County and the officers involved, including Michael Shannon, Anthony J. Catanella, Lieutenant Daniel DeCastro, and additional unnamed male and female officers. The lawsuit accuses them of excessive force, false arrest, fabricated evidence, and malicious prosecution. The lawsuit also states that the arrest was so violent that other officers had to intervene to stop it. At the time of the incident, local media reports focused on claims that an officer had been injured, while failing to report that Cater herself had been hospitalized for 4 days due to multiple injuries. And according to prior news reporting, this incident doesn't exist in isolation. Over the years, the Nassau County Police Department has faced multiple allegations of racial profiling and excessive force. Case in point. In 2023, a class action lawsuit alleged that while Black and Latino residents made up 29% of the population, they accounted for 61% of arrests, 50% of traffic stops, and 69% of pat-downs. That same year, officers tasered a Black man twice for allegedly jaywalking while he was helping a friend restart a motorcycle. And in 2024, officers slammed an innocent 60-year-old Black man to the ground after mistaking him for someone else. The interruption here is not just what those officers did, it's how quickly she was reclassified. She went from the person who called for help to the person they decided was the problem. That decision isn't random. It reflects how Black people are read in real time, regardless of age, regardless of circumstance, and regardless of what actually happened. An 80-year-old woman followed instructions, and she was still treated like a threat. That tells you this wasn't about behavior, it was about perception. And perception shaped the response. That same pattern shows up in the department's own history. Disproportionate stops, disproportionate arrests, and repeated allegations of excessive force. So when this happens, it doesn't stand alone. It fits. And the interruption did not stop with the officers. The next interruption was the media. It showed up in how the story was told. Early reporting centered the police and repeated their claims, while her injuries and her account were pushed to the side. That framing matters, because the first version people heard became the version they believed, and when the charges were dropped, that correction didn't carry the same weight, so the narrative stayed tilted. That's how the interruption holds. Through action first, and then through the incomplete story that follows. If you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching Black Joy Interrupted Quick News. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our future videos. This is Black Joy Interrupted Quick News, and we will see you in the next one.